My name is Charles Kropke. I am the author of a book, South Beach Stories of a Renaissance. It is the story of the comeback of South Beach through the social and entrepreneurs that were responsible for making the modern day South Beach what it is today.
Generally in gentrification, my experience when I lived in Soho, later in Hoboken, then I went back home to the city, but my experience always in gentrification, it's the artist community that comes in, and they're looking for cheap space in which to be able to live and work. The artist community generally is a motley crew. It's all about the art. It transcends race, creed, background, sexual orientation, or gender, and that was the beginning of the folks here. And there's a food chain in the gentrification of a place and then it ties in with the nightlife.
Right, absolutely.
And because it's a motley crew, most of the gay women and men in the arts community have gay yuppie friends, back then it was called, who are turned on to the area, they start coming in, and then that's when it starts getting purdy and upscale. And then those people in turn have their straight yuppie friends, and those are the ones that follow suit. So at the very beginning, it was this motley crew of very creative people. We all had different, whether we're developers or business owners or just those of us that lived here, we all had different agendas, but we all shared in the same vision.
I bought the first Art Deco condo rehab, and I know this because when I went to get comps, there weren't any. And we actually had to talk the bank, I had to talk the bank into financing because they just couldn't imagine why anybody of any substance would possibly want to live on South Beach. But it was just so obvious if you had come from somewhere else, like New York, where you look around and you go, great buildings, beach, what's wrong with these people? You know where real estate values are going. And in fact, some people have done very well knowing where real estate values were going here.
Through the years, clubs kept opening up, right? But we were doing this like Lewis said, it was a very artsy, bohemian, scene. The first cool nights I think that we did was Saturday nights at the Warsaw Ballroom. This group called Paragon bought that club, which is 1235, which is what Mansion is today. And so they took all the gay clientele on Saturday nights and kind of left Warsaw Ballroom empty on Saturday night. So we went there and we're like, we have a whole bunch of cool bohemian people, let's do Saturday nights there. So we did this night called Bohemia. And to me, that was, Lewis was years earlier than me, but that's kind of like really my beginning. And it was a very different time. It was a really beautiful time. To me, it defined kind of the early 90s of South Beach. I remember, it's funny, today nightclubs are, you need a table, it's going to be $3,000. And when we were doing this, I remember Eddie Murphy once came into Warsaw and he's like, I want a VIP section and a table. And I was like, there's no way this guy's a VIP. There's no such thing as VIPs. Everybody's equal. It's like, and he wanted a rope around him. I was like, no way. I was like, everybody's the same here.
Actually, someone else among us, David Wallach, snuck up on everyone in a sense with Mangoes. He started small with his cafe, and it just kept building and building. And as he told the story to me for the book, he was kind of like taking a look at each element, and then when he saw something really interesting, he would add that to the mix, and eventually Mangoes boomed.
All of these clubs and all of these people's work were my stomping ground because I lived at 900 Ocean Drive. I had my recording studio in my bed. That's all I needed, as well as that was like my medical career. But then when I got with Mark Soika, and the Ocean Drive clique was like the Ocean Drive clique, that was like a different world. And we went to at least I did, not Mark, but every opening that these guys had was like, wow, come on, let's go. But these guys are just great artists. And they also had the additional twist of being great business people. And that was what really set all of these people off from the rest. Just a great artist got eaten up on South Beach.
Right.
I wasn't such a good business person.
Then you had someone, then you had someone with you.
I wasn't a good business person.
Well, then you had to have
But
someone next to you that was. Because the bottom line is you always had to make sure the money got to the bank. And either you were counting it yourself or you got robbed. It's really just that simple. So South Beach is still a wild place. And the evolution, you know, people would say in the early days, and these guys were the pioneers. I mean, they were cutting edge. You're looking at cutting edge. And so my doing mangoes came right through going to these guys' parties. And what they were doing is each creating their party. And it got cool. And all of a sudden, the traffic backed up past the toll booth by the airport. Past the toll booth to get to South Beach. Why? Because of these people.
I remember a girlfriend of mine, one of my best friends, had just gotten divorced from a very wealthy man, had some money, and the Amsterdam Palace was for sale. And it was for $600,000, which at that time, you know, was crazy money. And my girlfriend said, we should do something. Let's open up a hotel in it. I said, I don't know anything, you know, I don't know. And she spoke to her ex-husband, who she was friendly with, and was a developer. He said, South Beach is never going to happen. He said, if you take that money, put it into the Amsterdam Palace, he said, you'll have nothing left. That's my earliest memories of South Beach.
Right.